Children are the greatest joy of parents. Right from the day the to be parents know the arrival of an additional member to their family, the joy multiplies. Long wait for the date of delivery is an inexplicable feeling, only to be experienced. Watching the child grow day by day is a pleasure. Sri C V Kumar, a professional counselor, lists out the growth of the child to be watched. He also talks of the COVID 19 threat to children in the third wave. Let's listen to him now.
Yeah, the growth and development of children is a very fascinating experience to watch. Most of us treat it as a routine thing, particularly men. They hesitate to be close with the baby for the first 1 year at least. But it is really fascinating to watch the baby develop qualitatively and quantitatively. See, changes occur in physical, motor, cognitive, and psychosocial aspects of the child as it grows. Any disturbance in this process or any of these areas can result into a problem when the child grows up as an adult. But what are the factors that can cause a problem at a later stage? See, it could be several factors. The first thing is hereditary or biological issues, psychological issues, and social issues. See, several social issues also can contribute, say, breakdown in joint family, migration from rural areas to city, and then different places of the country, uh, single parents, cultural differences, media, peer pressure, lifestyles, all this can cause an effect on the growth of the child. First, let us examine a few issues. But before that, along with these problems, as of now, we are also experiencing the problems created by the COVID. The COVID pandemic has affected every one of us, but the children are the worst affected. Fortunately, the first two waves did not cause much damage to the children, but they say the third wave is coming and it can affect the children more. As it is, the schools are not open for the last 1.5 years. Schools definitely contribute not only for the education but social interaction for the child and helps in its psychological growth. Unfortunately, schools are not there. The child is confined to the house, and because of this, it will have a longer effect on the psychological development of the child. Along with this, children are now compelled to have classes online. This is also making them get addicted to the screen. Perhaps that will also cause, if it continues for a longer time, it can cause difficulties at a later stage. First, let us examine the physical growth of the child. When the infant is born, see, it cannot even hold its neck erect. But within a few weeks, it can hold its neck erect, and then by about, say, 2 months, it can sit on the lap of the mother erect. And by about 6 or 7 months, the baby can sit independently, and thereafter by about 8 months it will try to stand on its own with the support of a chair or something, door or something like that. By about 10 to 12 months the child starts standing on its own. Walking needs balancing of the leg and transfer of weight from one leg to the other. The baby starts learning this by about 1 year, and you may wonder that it starts learning the trick even by about 7 or 8 months when it starts kicking its legs. This practice helps it to gain control over that movement. So these are all the how it develops And by about 1 year, the baby starts getting control over the muscle movement and getting around and feel the environment. Crawling, walking, reacting to others, all these things develop by about 1 year. See, during the second year, the baby becomes more skilled and very fast. It acquires the skills very fast. By about 18 months, if you watch the baby, see, it starts pulling the toys, pulling something, experimenting, trying to explore things. All these things it tries to do, climb the stairs, climb the cart. So all these things it does. And by about 2 years, it starts walking fast, walking backwards, sit on the floor, all these things, and jumping. It gets enormous joy doing these activities. By about 3 years, it starts jumping and feels thrilled for running. And by 4 years, it becomes more adventurous. And by 5 years, it becomes much more adventurous and performs stunts, jumps from a height, enjoys racing. All these things start developing in the child. Hearing also is an important aspect in the child's development. They say when it is in the womb of the mother, by around 7 months, it acquires the ability to hear mother's voice. That is why they say pregnant women after 7th month should listen to very good music, a soothing music, and all such things, so that it helps the baby in developing better. It's psychological as well as other abilities. The baby can start hearing the sounds, external sounds, by about 3 days. But thereafterwards, by about a month or so, it can start understanding the difference between the mother tongue as well as the other language that is spoken, and can filter out a few things which are not required. It recognizes meaningful sounds in the mother tongue. See, these also are important aspects that needs to be understood. In fact, when the baby cries, there are different types of cries. Maybe all of us would have understood it, would have observed it. The angry cry, see, when the baby is angry, the cry will be different. When normal cry is different. When it is undergoing some pain, the cry will be different. Like this, see, even the cry signifies a few things. The children start crying, temper tantrums. See, these temper tantrums, all of us get nervous when the child starts crying very loud and continuously. A few tips when this child starts crying like that is, see, punish the tantrum, not the child. See, you should always differentiate between the wrongdoing of the child and the child. You should make it clear that I will listen to you only when you stop crying. Then only the child will listen. And do not tolerate rude behavior, but at the same time recognize the autonomy and independence of the child. Child has its own opinion. See, you recognize that and value it. A calm and composed behavior by the adult or the parent will always help in the teaching the child what is right and what is wrong. And at that particular time, when the baby is crying, distract the child by other activity or some other thing, so that the child stops crying and starts concentrating on something else. Rocking or putting it in the cradle and then rocking it also helps in distraction and the child overcoming the difficulty. Basically, love the child irrespective of its behavior. Bladder control is another important aspect. Toilet training leads to the bladder control. So the caregivers or the parents should start teaching the child and training it, because it is the bladder control is directly linked to the child's intellectual ability, capacity to socialize, and then social maturity. All these things are linked to its toilet control ability. Say normally by about 3 years, the child gets control over its bladder. These things should be observed.